Welcome back. The entire board of Africa's biggest fund manager has thrown in the towel. Members of the Public Investments Corporation board wrote to Finance Minister Tito Mboweni asking to be relieved of their duties. In the letter, signed by all 9 members, including the chairperson and Deputy Finance Minister Mondli Gungubele, they highlight efforts to discredit the board. The members say this has compromised the credibility of their work. The resignations come after the state-owned pension fund issued a statement including allegations from a whistleblower known only as James Noko. He has accused board member Sbusisiwe Zulu of working with acting chief executive Matsepo Mori and Gungubele to capture the PIC. Tonight we speak to the United Democratic Party leader Bantu Holomisa, who persistently called for the PIC Commission of Inquiry, and why he believes that this inquiry will help to protect pension funds of past and present government employees from what he has termed as the ruthless sharks that are eating away at government employees' financial futures. And General Holomisa, good evening to you. Welcome.
Good evening, Tim. Good evening to the viewers of the ENCA.
One of your demands earlier on, when you were relentlessly calling for this inquiry to be set up, was that the CEO, Dr. Dan Machida, should step aside. You also then followed up with the request that the board should also be replaced. They've now resigned. What's your comment about that?
Well, we welcome the decision by the board to resign. We hope that the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, which is currently investigating the PIC, will have a free rein and not to be interrupted by the board, as we have witnessed in the last 3 weeks or 4, wherein they attempted to establish parallel investigative things or structures. And I hope that the Minister of Finance will appoint an interim board, and hopefully that interim board will be screened enough so that it can work with the current Judicial Commission of Inquiry to get into the bone of this corruption in that institution. Of course, this is long overdue. We have been writing letters to the president to say he must suspend this board because they have proved beyond reasonable doubt that their aim was to protect each other, including the management.
Now, the chairperson of the board is the Deputy Minister of Finance. That's a serious enough position. He's also stepped down, and he's written this letter as the chairperson to his senior, the Minister of Finance. To what extent do you think he might have been implicated in the allegations that are coming forth currently?
Well, in the first instance, I don't buy their reasons for resigning to say they have been discredited. They should have asked the current inquiry to handle such discredit campaign. But it's clear that they knew that their days are numbered. As far as the Deputy Minister is concerned, I think we should be fair to him. I think he did a good job in trying to clean that institution. Hopefully, the Minister of Finance and his president will re-look into that. But the bigger picture here is, do we need a politician to head the PIC, given the political directives which have allegedly been given by the previous chairpersons of the PIC who were coming from the ruling party? I think we have an opportunity to even consider now to have an individual who is not a politician, like a retired judge in this interim period to work with the interim committee to take this process forward until the permanent board has been appointed as per perhaps the recommendations by the commission.
Now, we also learn that the acting CEO, Matsepo More, may be complicit in further wrongdoing in as far as the emerging information is concerned, and this includes non-executive directors Busisiwe Zulu, that they may have channeled billions of rands to her partners, Ms. Zulu, Lawrence Mlaudzi. What do you know about this, and what do you think of the latest revelations?
Well, the best way is for the inquiry to look into these allegations. And also the Minister of Finance should cease with the situation at PIC and scrutinize whoever has remained behind with a view to make sure that the shenanigans which were there before will not continue. It is too early for people like us to want to point fingers only on a secular which has not yet been tested. So if More and Zulu are implicated, the Judicial Commission of Inquiry is there to summon them and confront them with whatever information they have.
But you see, I think one of the difficulties around some of the allegations is that they are being made by seemingly an unknown person by the name of James Noko. Do you know anything about this whistleblower?
Irrespective whether one knows that whistleblower, the important thing here is to analyze what is being leaked to the media. And then the commission must take the matter forward, because he is talking about, or she is talking about, the dates, the venues, and so on, and the people involved. So we should not waste our time and wanting to know who is the whistleblower more than looking at the content. Because a whistleblower, why do you want to expose a whistleblower? He's a whistleblower, is protected.
And the Commission of Inquiry has adjourned until February, but within this short time, a lot of important information has come to the fore, and one of the important witnesses was Victor Siani, who spoke about a culture of fear and also how the deals with IO Group as well as Sekunjalo were fast-tracked and structured. What is your view of this information?
Well, that information is not new. It has been carried out in the media for the last 2 or 3 years. You heard people complaining when IO was awarded or given 4-something billion rands. Now it's up to the Commission of Inquiry to verify the authenticity or otherwise of these serious allegations against IO. So all what it has been said so far, it demands that those who have been implicated should be summoned by the Commission, so that the Commission at the end of the day can come up with sound findings and recommendations to the President. And I hope that the interim report would be published not into the too distant future of what should happen, because in order for these commissions of inquiry to have teeth or meaning, instead of people worried that this is another waste of taxpayers' monies, the interim report should indicate that there is a prima facie evidence on what they have been investigating, and that the law enforcement agencies must start investigating further and charge some of the people.
You have suggested that the goings-on within the PIC might be worse than what might be uncovered by the Zondo Commission. Are you still of that view, that we're still going to hear more startling, dramatic information coming out of the PIC?
Definitely we will still hear more, especially on transactions which are unlisted, where some chairpersons of these committees had the authority to authorize a loan of 2 billion without consulting the board. So we must demand that the list of unlisted transactions must be tabled to the Commission of Inquiry. And the Commission of Inquiry must assist or assist themselves, or rather satisfy themselves, that these transactions were above board and that those who were loaned the monies, they have paid these billions. My information is that a lot of monies have not been paid back. We are also interested to find out on the conflict of interest, which we have identified in the UDM, where former PIC employees and chairpersons or a chairperson have had access to these funds, yet other people, when they want to buy shares, they have to go to commercial banks. So we need to know, was PIC a private bank for certain individuals in this country? Why asset managers, especially the black asset managers, have not been given enough opportunity to do the investments or work with the PIC? And the whole matter is in the hands of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry.
But government hasn't said much at this point. You have been outspoken even in the earlier days. We haven't heard anything from the Government Employees Pension Fund, the unions, not much, as I've already indicated, also from the government. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, unfortunately, the current government, it might well be that they were using the same fund as their slush funds to fund their party coffers. Who has ever thought that these Siyanqoba rallies were funded through government funds, as we have witnessed or heard from the Bosasa scandal? So we cannot write off the possibility that some of the funds of the PIC were channeled through bogus asset management companies. And I'm still interested for the inquiry to go deeper on the role of the Harith and Lebashe. How were they established, given the fact that the former employees of the PIC seem to have left PIC to build an empire using the pension funds?
And to what extent do you think that the government employees' pensions are at risk? You have highlighted what you have highlighted, but is it a much deeper risk than what we can see?
Well, there's no doubt about that. The reports we have read in the financial magazines are indicating that the pension funds of the government employees is at risk. So let's therefore depend on the experts to come forward. Even the 8.2 billion rands, which was invested in the continent, nobody seems to be giving full report. We hear that that fund is performing just under 2%. Was it necessary to go that far? Why did they use that money in those schemes, yet they don't have people to monitor them? So we need to know why, for instance, that fund, which was started by PIC, but one of the employees of the PIC, when he wanted to start his own empire, he took away that portfolio and ran it outside PIC.
That's General Bantu Holomisa. Thank you very much. The leader of the UDM talking to us about the PIC inquiry that is currently underway. It's adjourned, will be starting again 25th of February, and it has led to the entire board of the PIC resigning today. Up next, why do we see the same faces on our television screens, and where is the new talent? We'll be finding out. Don't go away.